What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another Wednesday night live with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend of Two Games. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you are following me across all social media platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, uh, Twitter, all the good stuff. Make sure you subscribe over on YouTube as well as we go live every Wednesday night on all those platforms. If you didn't catch it already, or if you haven't gone back, go back to the archives. Real Fans, Real Talk. We actually recorded yesterday, not Monday. We normally do Mondays, but we moved it back a day. Good episode is up there right now. And then next week, I believe we have Valerie still coming back for part 2 of her interview with us. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. I know the comment section always shows up for our guests, so I'm looking forward to that. Tonight, we got a lot to get into. I got Knicks Thunder in the background right now. The Knicks looking to prove that they can hang with the upper echelon of the NBA. It has not gone that well. I believe they're like 2-6 against the top 3 teams in each conference so far this year. So they haven't played great against the upper echelon teams. Right now, they're down 7 in the first quarter. But we'll see how this works out. We'll talk about it and we'll update as the game goes on if you're not watching it. About 3.5 left in the first quarter. The Thunder up 7, 20-13. We got NFL to get to. We're closer to the draft. We're a little more than 5 weeks away from the NFL draft. Obviously, coming out of the combine, the only thing left to do is really pro days at this point. Once we get the pro days out, I think we'll have a better idea of where guys are landing within the draft. Obviously, the combine helps a lot. Guys came out of the combine, and now we're starting to see, you see the performance of Sonny Styles and what it's doing for him. It looks like he's probably going to be a top 5, top 6 pick at the very worst. He was a guy that people were projecting at least to be top 10. But when you run a 40 the way he does, the vertical, the bench press, how impressive he was, how versatile he already was viewed as a linebacker, it's probably going top 5, top 6. Couple other guys, my guy Mike Washington. If you haven't seen it already, I put out the interview that Mike and I did at the Senior Bowl. It was a very quick interview. A couple of questions I have from him. I actually called him on that Wednesday morning at the combine. At the Senior Bowl when he was walking out from his player interviews with some teams. So he came out of Senior Bowl as the player of the week. Now he's put together the combine performance. It looks like he's probably going to be somewhere in the range of no later than the second, early third round. You're talking about a 6'1" running back who's running a 4.33 with the 40-inch vertical. And his ability, again, his strength as a running back, which was something that was already highly touted before he showed up at the combine. It looks like he's probably solidified his spot as no worse than an early third-round pick. Obviously, a lot to play out from here till then. Jeremiah Love looks like he's going to be the first running back off the board. After that, we'll see what happens. I've got another interview with Katron Allen that I put out before. I'm going to put it out again. I was kind of waiting for the combine, but he didn't run at the combine. So there's a little bit of a shine that's been knocked off his star a little bit because people love him. I think he's a great running back. I think you look at his last 2 years, 2,400 yards total rushing. You're talking about a legit running back who can handle the workload pulls of the NFL. So I think he's definitely suited for the next level, his style, his running style. So that'll be interesting to see what he does at his pro day. We also got Major League Baseball starting up soon, so I'll be getting into more Major League Baseball stuff if you like that. And as always, boxing. We're going to get into boxing. Speaking of, before I get to the comment section, shout out to the comment section. I see Pooh over there. I see Ron. I see Kyrie. I see Squeeze. Squeeze actually had the first comment of the night. Is football related with the trades. I'm going to give it a few minutes and then we're going to get to those as well. And as I always say, guys, if you're in the comment section over on Instagram, bear with me. I'm clicking back and forth between the screens. But speaking of boxing and the fight game, I saw this Tom Brady clip where he takes a jab at Logan Paul. I didn't know what it was really about until I looked a little bit more into it and noticed Logan Paul was saying there's no NFL player who could beat him in a fight. Now, I know the Paul brothers love to troll. That's all this is a troll. Let's don't play yourself. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, and Jake, I have more respect for Jake as a fighter than Logan. because I think Jake actually has taken the sport seriously the last couple of years. He has been training consistently for fights. Now, whether you like his opponents, don't like his opponents, I mean that's your choice. But we're not going to pretend that he hasn't been training, that he hasn't taken it serious from a promotional aspect and trying to get in the ring with people. And obviously, recently had his fight with Anthony Joshua. So he's given it a legitimate try of legitimacy. Logan, on the other hand, he's never taken it real serious. It was more of a niche type thing. And, obviously they have the YouTube fights and they're making money off it and things like that. But to say no NFL player could beat you, first of all, there's a lot of NFL players that practice MMA and boxing in the offseason. That's how they stay in shape. That's one. Two, you're talking about guys who are far greater athletes than you. So when you combine their athletic ability with the fact that some of these guys have trained in the sport, now they're not training to be professionals. They train to stay in shape. They train for their cardio. They train to kind of break up the mundane of a regular NFL workout. You're Logan Paul. You, with all your free time and everything that you do, you aren't a good boxer. It's not like you're talking as if you're one of the good boxers who just doesn't box professionally. You're not. You weren't good in these exhibitions. I saw a post from Miles Garrett, who said he would thrash Logan Paul. And I agree, he would kill Logan Paul in a fight. Now, Logan Paul's trying to say he'll give $1 million to anybody who can beat him. We'll see if he actually lives by that and holds that up and will actually fight somebody. I don't think he will. And if he does, he'll definitely try to pick on somebody who he knows it's a little bit more of a advantage his way in terms of maybe size. But there's no way Logan Paul could beat a Myles Garrett in a fight. He couldn't beat Aaron Donald in a fight if Aaron Donald wanted to fight him. I don't think he could beat a George Kittle in a fight if George Kittle wanted to fight him. There are plenty of guys that I don't think Logan Paul could beat in a fight. So let's cut that bullshit out now. As I mentioned, in the background, we got OKC, we got the Knicks. Right now, it is a 7-point game. 42 seconds left in the first half. OKC up 25-18. Knicks about to get the ball. Let's keep it NBA. Let's stay there for a second, because we're getting down to that point. We're talking about matchups. We're talking about who could beat who. It was one of the conversations we had yesterday on the live in terms of Denver. Could Denver make a run at an NBA championship again? I think they can. The most obvious reason is you have Nikola Jokic. The most obvious reason is that you've done it before and that you've got your core members, right? Not only Joker, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown was on that team. So you've got the pieces of a team that has already won a championship. So that's in place, one. Secondly, it's really about matchups. Do I think OKC is the best team in the AFC? I'm sorry, in the West. I'm saying AFC because I saw a football question come up, sorry. But in the West, yes. But do I think that they are unbeatable in the West? No. We've seen San Antonio beat them up this year. Also, keep in mind, there's been this trend, and I talked about this last year with the Celtics. Defending champions have not got past the 6th round in over 7 years at this point. So there's no guarantee that the gauntlet that the West presents means that OKC, just because they're the best team right now, is going to get through 4 rounds of the NBA playoffs. It's very likely they might get through one and then face San Antonio in that 2nd round, maybe face Minnesota, teams that have given them some trouble in the past. So I don't think it's a far-gone conclusion or a far-fetched idea that the Denver Nuggets have a legitimate chance of winning an NBA championship. Again, we're talking about a team who's already won a title. We're not talking about some team that's never done it and now hoping to go through the motions of getting there. I think that anybody who has one of these stars out West has a legitimate shot. As I mentioned, Denver, Minnesota, San Antonio. Obviously, OKC could do it again. Houston, I'm not too sure. I'm not sold on Houston doing it because I don't think they have the guard play to do it. Their late game execution has been poor. So I don't think they can do it. Obviously, I don't think the Lakers can do it. But any one of the 4 teams that I mentioned, I think has a legitimate shot to come out of the West and make that run. That was one of the questions we had yesterday. To flip that though on the East, I really think it's kind of a 4-team race in the East as well. I think it's Detroit. I think it's Boston. I think it's New York. I think it's Cleveland. Now, each one of those teams has their flaws. We're not going to pretend, right? Out of those four teams, Cleveland is flamed out in the playoffs twice. Boston, we've got to see how this Tatum situation plays out. I'm trying to find this quote because there is a quote circulating online where Jason Tatum said, "I'm not coming back to be a role player." Now, I don't know if that's a social media creation or if he really said it. Again, I've been trying to look up the quote, but if that's the mindset, that goes back to what I've been saying for quite some time, that Jason Tatum coming back could ruin the type of season that the Boston Celtics are having. So time will tell on that. But if the Celtics are healthy, if Jason Tatum is buying into whatever role they expect him to play, kind of sidekick to Jaylen Brown, Boston has a chance. They're the one team in the East who's done it. They've gone to the finals twice with kind of their core. So they're the one team that knows how to get there. The Knicks, they've had two bad performances against the Pacers in the playoffs, a 7-game series, last year, 6-game series. Now, when I say bad performances, they were the favorite to win both of those. One of those injuries ruined it. The other one, blown leads, is what killed them. Could they get over the hump this year? Maybe. But they're very flawed. There are moments where Karl-Anthony Towns does not look like an all-star big man. There are moments where Jalen Brunson gets too ball dominant. There are moments where Bridges and OG Anunoby kind of disappear from the game. They've got to be on the same page. They've got to be clicking, I think, to go through 3 rounds of the Eastern Conference playoffs. Because like I said, the other teams in the East are good. They just all have flaws. The number one team, the Detroit Pistons, a lot of people want to know, are they ready to take the leap? Historically, that's not how it works in the NBA. You normally don't go from a first-round exit to the next year being a team that goes to the finals to compete for a championship. There are steps that you take along the way. And by that logic, that would eliminate the Detroit Pistons. Now, I think the Pistons are really, really good. I think depending on who they match up with is going to determine how far they can go in the playoffs. I know they've had their success and their way against the Knicks, but I'm not going to count to that as a foregone conclusion that, yes, they're going to go to the NBA Finals out of the East, because last year Boston had their way with the Knicks, and then they struggled in the series. So there are plenty of times where a team has success against you regular season, then struggles against you in the playoffs. But for the Detroit Pistons, I think the real question is, can they get the secondary guy? Cade Cunningham has been great, but what's going to happen come playoff time when teams focus on Cade Cunningham? Is he going to be able to rely on another guy? And if so, who is the second guy? Like Jalen Duran is great, but who's their second guy? Is it going to be Jalen Duran in the playoffs? Is Tobias Harris going to give them a little bit more? Is Dennis Jenkins going to do the same thing that he's been doing in regular season? I think he's been great since they've officially given him a contract. He's been great. Can JB Bickerstaff overcome some of the demons that he's had in the playoffs? He's had 2 bad playoff losses, both of them against the Knicks, in terms of just kind of choking in the moment of a playoff series. So can he overcome that? Overall, like I said, the Pistons are good. I think they're right now the best team in the East. But again, that does not mean you're going to come out of the East. Same as I said with Oklahoma City. Just because you're the best team right now doesn't mean you're going to come out of that conference. I think it's very tough to get through 3 rounds of the playoffs to get to the NBA Finals. And if you've never done it before, that's where the challenge comes in. If you look at the East, the only team in the East that's done it is the Boston Celtics. They're the only ones that can say they've actually done it in the Eastern Conference. So that'll be something to pay attention to. Will, give me a thumbs up. Let me know when you're ready, man. As always, got my brother, Mr. Unpopular Opinion, Will Gordon, in the building. Will, what's good, bro?
What do you do, baby?
Hi, and you got the princess in the building.
What they do, baby? We in here. Say what's up to you and the supporters. Say what's up to the supporters.
What's up?
Hey, princess, how you doing?
Doing good.
How was your day today?
It was fine.
All right.
Can they see you? Lean down, say what's up to the people.
Hello.
All right, go with your brother. See y'all in a bit.
What's good, bro?
What they do, baby? She wanted to drop my tagline tonight, man. I had to, I had to let her get it in,
I got no problem with that, bro. You know that.
She's always
welcome on the show. She's always
welcome.
Everybody. Man, we got the comment section buzzing. We got a lot to get into. So let's get to the comments. Let's get to some stuff. You want to start NBA or NFL tonight?
Hold on real quick. Hey, Quentin. Keep it down. We can go whatever. What's buzzing right now the most?
The first three comments are NFL related, and then we got NFL. NFL related is the first three, and then NBA after that.
We go
We
NFL.
got
Take
three.
it
We
in
got
order.
3 and 3. We got 3 and 3.
Unless one of the ladies had a question first. You know, we a ladies first type.
Pooh got a statement in response to somebody else's question. We'll do this. We'll put this one on first since it's happening right now. OKC is up 2 in the second quarter on the Knicks. Squeeze, shout out to Squeeze. He wants to know Thunder versus Knicks. Who y'all like tonight?
Is Shea playing?
Yep, Shay's playing.
Thunder.
I agree, and I'm a Knicks fan, but the Knicks have not played well against the top 3 teams in the league this year. I highlighted it to start the show. I think there's something like 2 and 6 against the top 3 teams. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong, but I see OKC winning tonight.
Yeah.
Let's get to now. Squeeze did have the first comment tonight. Trent McDuffie traded to the Rams. For those that didn't see the trade, Trent McDuffie, who is a 2-time All-Pro and Pro Bowler from the Kansas City Chiefs, he's also won 2 Super Bowls there, was traded today to the Rams. It includes this year's first-round pick, this year's 5th and 7th round pick, and then next year's 3rd round pick. So a total of 4 picks going to the Chiefs for Trent McDuffie. Ultimately, this came down to a new contract that the Chiefs did not want to meet him at a certain number. He will now be with the Rams. Give me your thoughts, Will.
I'm not really moved by it. I could see why Kansas City would make that move to gain those assets. You know, especially if it's a guy that you're not really trying to pay long term, because with his accolades, you're gonna have to pay that dude. You know what I'm saying, to keep him. If he's not if you think he's not really in your long term plans, or you can go a different way or allocate those funds differently to improve your team in other areas that would make your team better, where you can kind of mask some of the deficiencies that he might have left behind. I think it's a good move for the Chiefs. You get back the 29th pick this year to pair with where are they picking? Top 15? Top 12?
Chiefs are at 9.
9? Okay, so you got 9. So now you got 9 and 29.
Mm-hmm.
If there's somebody at the top that you really love that you don't think you can get, now you got you know what I'm saying, now you got bullets. Now you got some bullets in the clip. If you look at it the Rams perspective, and I think also, and I'll shout out to you when you were saying you think that move means that KC is going to be aggressive. It makes only sense for them to be aggressive now, because Andy Reid ain't out here for a long time. He here for a good time. You know what I'm saying? He here for a good time. For the next, I say, 2 years tops, and Andy's out of here. So draft picks don't really matter to him, and what happens when draft picks develop in 4 or 5 years don't really matter for Andy Reid right now. But what you can get in return for those draft picks to make you win football games now, on your way out, your last year, your last 2 years, that's where you look at that trade and say, okay, now I see really why Kansas City made that move. If you're the Rams, I don't know if I would have done that if I was the Rams. I mean, you gave up some, like, that first and that third, that first this year and that third. Is it next year or 27? I mean, next year is 27.
Next year.
Yeah. So you're giving up a first and a third. You're gonna have to spend money to keep this dude. And really, is that where you feel like you weren't winning the Super Bowl, or not getting to the Super Bowl because you lacked that guy, or you lacked that position? And with your window, your Super Bowl window is now, like right now, because how many more years does Matthew Stafford have?
I agree with that.
It's Trent McDuffie, that guy that you feel like was the missing link. If that's not the case, then I'm not sure that was a good pick or pickup.
Right. I like it for both teams, and I think it signals both teams being aggressive. I'll start with the Rams side of things because that's where you left off right there. If you're the Rams, or if you're any team for that matter, drafting that late, if you can get an all-pro player with the 29th pick, you have to assess it from the standpoint of, is there a player in the draft that's this impactful? And if you don't feel like there's somebody in the draft that can be that impactful, then you make the trade. Now, the Rams have had a history of this. Obviously, there's the infamous clip where the GM is saying, fuck them picks. A couple years ago when he traded away a bunch of assets to load up the team to win a Super Bowl. That year that he went and got Von Miller and he got OBJ, right? And he went and got a bunch of guys to help fill out the roster to win it all. So, and Jalen Ramsey was part of that team as well when he did that. So maybe he views it the same way. Like, listen, like you said, we got Stafford for this year coming up, maybe one more year at the most. But if we're not all in right now, then what's the point? Because you got Devontae Adams already on board. You got Puka. You got some pieces on that defense with Jared Verse. The one weakness of this team was their secondary. It was their biggest weakness last year. And considering the games they played against Seattle, I think this is a direct response to Seattle saying, listen, if you guys are going to be out here with JSN, who's one of the best receivers in football, we got to at least get a corner that can match up in some way, shape, or form. And that's what you make the move for Trent McDuffie. Now, the third round pick next year could be the one that hurts him a little bit because, like I said, that's a value pick. And if you don't win it all and you find yourself with Stafford retiring after next year, that third round pick becomes very valuable. But this is why I really like it for the Rams. The Rams have the Falcons pick this year. So they're already picking in the top 15. So now you can get two players that will be immediate impact guys on a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. If they didn't have that Atlanta pick, yeah, this might be too aggressive to trade your first round pick for an all-pro corner that you're going to have to give a new contract to. But since you got that Atlanta pick, you might go with a D lineman with that Atlanta pick. You might fill another area and get another starter and come out of this draft with two legitimate starters on a team that was just in the NFC Championship game, hoping to take that next step. So I like it for the Rams. For the Chiefs, the reason I say I think they're going to be aggressive, the Chiefs have been linked to Jeremiah Love for weeks now at number 9. If he's at number 9, they're probably taking Jeremiah Love. They haven't had a really solid quality running back since Kareem Hunt got into his legal issues and he left there. And that was really Mahomes' first year as a starter. That was the last time they had that legitimate back. They'll probably go after that back. But what I think they're also going to do is they're going to try to shore up their defense with this 29th pick. They want another defensive lineman. Chris Jones is great, but Chris Jones is a little older. And this is a draft that's stacked with defensive linemen. I think they're going to try to go get another defensive lineman, retool their defense. This is one of the moves that they made. Remember when they traded Tyreek Hill and they loaded up on their defense? That's how they were able to get Karlaftis. That's how they were able to get Trent McDuffie. I think they're going that same direction now. And I do believe that Mahomes is going to be back at some point this year. So the Chiefs aren't punting on the season. I think they're looking at it from the standpoint, if we can get quality guys in now, let's stay afloat for the first month and a half till we get Mahomes back. We try to make a run at it. Like I said, I like it for both teams. I really do. I think from the Rams perspective, it's aggressive. But again, you were just in the NFC Championship game. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to run it back with the same team. And on the flip side, if you're the Chiefs, you understand, and as you highlighted, if you don't want to pay Trent McDuffie, don't drag this out. Make the quality trade, get you a first-round pick, retool with some more young talent. They've already restructured Mahomes' deal. So now they're about 47, 48 million under the cap. They can be super aggressive in free agency as well. I think the Chiefs are looking to retool to get right back in the mix of things.
What I was trying to do, my iPad died on me. I was trying to look up, and I should have looked it up earlier, because on the surface, it makes sense for all the reasons we mentioned. But on the football field, and I'm not saying that this is going to be a determining factor, but it is a factor, is scheme fit. Like, what I need to look to see what defense the Chiefs run and what the Rams run, because if they run different schemes, this might be something that's going to blow up in their face, balls, because I've seen trades and I've seen free agency moves on the defensive side of the ball where an all-pro guy can go to another scheme fit and completely fall off the map, i.e. Josh Norman. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's something I need to look at. My iPad died on me. I'll look it up right now.
So
But scheme fits are going to be a factor in that too. If they run the same type of, it can't be man versus zone. They got to run the same thing for if you want the same guy.
So I think in terms of scheme, I think the Chiefs' defensive scheme is more complex than what the Rams run. I think the Rams run a very vanilla defense, but I think a lot of that has to do with their secondary wasn't that good. And they just relied on their front four being able to get pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Jared Verse. Whereas Kansas City with Steve Spagnuolo, we know Spagnuolo's known for being an aggressive defensive coordinator who will blitz you at any point and
you can see that's the thing. Like with the Rams, just from what I can kind of remember, is like you were saying, like more of a 4-3 base D
Right.
with a high-low safety, and then on the Chiefs side of things, you might see 4 or 5 linebackers.
You might see zero
You know what I'm
blitzing.
saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like I said, it's more complex in Kansas City. The one thing I will say though, I think that some of that is rooted in the personnel. So again, the Rams didn't have anyone in their secondary that they really trusted. So they had to keep it more base and vanilla looks and keep safeties back, too high safeties and those type of things. Whereas now with McDuffie, you might get a little bit more exotic with your looks. You might get a little more, like a little more aggressive, I should say. We'll see how that plays out. And that's a great point because especially at cornerback,
yeah.
right? You
That's the
have
thing.
to
Like you can look like a star in one system, and
right.
if you go to a different system, you can look like moribund. What they call it, moribund or whatever. Like a
Yeah,
dude that don't know what moribund. You like you don't know what you're doing out there. So
right.
scheme is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. The scheme is going to play a factor. We'll see how that plays out. Now, again, maybe I just think for the Rams, I'll just say this. I think for the Rams, it's the right thing to do because when you're in the NFC Championship or when you're in the conference championship in general, I hate when teams think, oh, we're just going to come back the next year and we'll run it back with our guys. You have to be aggressive the next year because things may not break your way the same way they did the year before. Right? The Rams could have easily lost to the Bears in the second round of the playoffs this year. And to just think, oh well, we were in the NFC Championship game, we're going to come right back. No, it doesn't always work that way. Everybody else is loading up. You got to get better, and I think that's the Rams approaching this. They looked at it and said, we have to get better in our secondary if we expect to take that next step. If we want to take
Yeah.
that next step, I think for Kansas City, like I said, it is the right move because at the end of the day, Mahomes is your future. Mahomes is your everything. You've already restructured this deal, but you still got to keep getting younger. And I also wonder if them moving on for McDuffie and not giving him the new contract, will there be a ripple effect to say, all right, we weren't willing to give him the money, but are we willing to spend the money on receivers now? Because that's their glaring weakness on that team. They got to get receivers. They got some good guys, but they don't have the guy. They don't have a number one guy. And so, like I said, at number 9, I don't know if Carnell Tate from Ohio State's going to fall to number 9. He's the number 1 rated receiver in his class. I don't know if he's going to fall to number 9.
I don't think he goes past 6.
Right. I just don't think he'll drop that far. But I do wonder if Kansas City says, we got this money. Let's go out and get guys because there is Tyreek Hill out there. Right. Rashid Shaheed, it looks like he might be leaving Seattle because they did not franchise tag Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is going to be their priority in the offseason. So there's some receivers to go get. Speaking of, shout out to Kyrie. He said New England releases Stephon Diggs. You and I were talking a little bit about Diggs off air. You and I both agree. I don't think there's much of a market for Stephon Diggs.
Me either. He's going to be looking for more than he's worth, and he's an older guy now. And in the draft that they call in one of the deeper receiver drafts we've seen, it's a bad time to be a vet receiver looking for a deal. It's just a bad time for you.
Yeah, it's a deep draft. You're talking about a veteran receiver who, he's 32 years old, but even if you look at his numbers just from this season, it's a down year by his standards, and it's really a down 2 years because he had the injury in Houston the year before. So, yes,
And you're not known to be the best teammate either.
that's the other part of this. But it was 1,000-yard season. Now, to be fair, Stephon Diggs, I mean, we're talking about what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 8 years he was 1,000-yard receiver. The biggest difference, though, has been his drop-off. Remember, at the end of that Buffalo run in 2023, he was struggling to get catches, struggling to get open. Then he has the injury season in Houston. Last year, as the number 1 guy, was he dominant? No. He just happened to be the best receiver on their team. I don't know what his real market value is, especially, like I said, with the deep draft. You got Tyreek Hill, who's available. I think you got some better options. I truly believe he's going to be a guy that will be a late free agency signing after the draft, maybe before training camp.
And I'm gonna, I like the kid as being a Terp. I rock with my Terps, but when you factor in his age and his attitude, Are you a rich man's Jerry Judy at this point in your career? Like how good are you? You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I think he's better than Jerry Judy,
That's what I'm
but
saying. A rich man's Jerry Judy. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you him? But
the problem with a guy like Diggs though is that he's a good receiver, but when you're not explosive and you're not a big physical receiver, right? It's not like Devontae Adams who's still a big receiver, and even though he doesn't like blow past guys, he's still crafty enough and he's physical enough to get open and beat you. Diggs relies on his speed and just being quick, and he doesn't really have that anymore. So how
yeah,
are you beating? How are you beating guys? Because again, you're not the big 6'3" receiver that we can just put the ball up and go get it. We need you to be the tactician that's beating guys off the line of scrimmage and getting open in the middle of the field and being explosive. And I didn't see that from him last year. You mentioned Will. You there? Will might have froze. We'll bring you back on the live once we get that situated. Will mentioned he was a Turk talking about Stephon Diggs. It will be interesting to see if Stephon Diggs entertains return home to the DC area with, or possibly even Baltimore. You look at Baltimore outside of Zay Flowers, they don't have a guy. Maybe Stephon Diggs fits there. It does sound nice with him going there. The Commanders would be a little trickier. He won't get a big contract there from the Commanders, but outside of Terry McLaurin, they would love to bring in another guy there. They tried it with Debo last year. I don't think Debo comes back. So that's another guy to pay attention to. But yeah, Stephon Diggs getting released today. It seems like it was a combination of just the team figuring they wanted to go a different direction. He was set to have a nice pay increase. He was making $10 million last year. He was going to go up to $26 million this year. Again, this is a wide receiver rich draft class. It's very possible the Patriots were looking at some of the young guys. I did see the Patriots staff out at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, they were at the Combine. They may feel the young guy they need is in the draft. They may feel the guy that could really be the true future number one option next to Drake May in their passing game is in the draft. So maybe that's the direction they want to go, or they might be aggressive in free agency. So we'll see. Only time will tell. Will, I was saying, Stephon Diggs, you said he's a Turk. What's a better fit, the Commanders or the Ravens for him?
ooh, I didn't think about Baltimore. Um, mm, for him, I think Washington because I think he would get more looks and more opportunities to make plays in Washington with a healthy Jaden Daniels, who is a pass first and second guy, than he would in Baltimore, especially sharing targets with a Zay Flowers who has a relationship with Lamar and a trust with Lamar already. I think for Stephon, for his career, it'd be better and actually for wins and losses, it might be better in Washington right now than it will be in Baltimore because it's an unknown within a new regime and all in Baltimore. Do
That's a
you
good
want to be
point.
part of that? Do you even want to be part of that? So um, you're gonna get love either way if you go to Baltimore or DC. But I think for you, like personally, if we're gonna talk about what's better for him as a football player, I think it's Washington.
Yeah,
It's close, but I think it's Washington.
that's a great point. I mean, I think either direction he goes, he will be the number two option in their offense, right? Because either Terry or Zay Flowers, you're coming in to be the number two. Um, yeah, schematically, like you said, maybe it's better with a more proven passer because I think Jaden Daniels is more of the true quarterback, and I think he is a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
going there just is a better fit for somebody like Stephon Diggs. We've talked plenty of times about Lamar Jackson, the scrambling around and how that affects receivers. Maybe, Diggs has had chances to go to Baltimore in the past and he didn't want to go there. So maybe that plays a factor as well. Squeeze wants to know who should go all in from Max Crosby. Who do you think, Will?
Uh, a team that feels like they're a pass rusher away from holding up the Lombardi. Because I'm not into paying defensive ends if you think you're just trying to make the playoffs, or you know what I mean. Like you got to be a pass rusher away from winning the Super. Like when showing my age, when Green Bay added Reggie White. You know what I mean. You need to be on that cusp to where, but that's the last piece you need to make it worth it. Because first of all, he's 32, or he'll be 32 when the season starts. Second of all, your pass rush. I mean, one guy, your pass rusher is only worth his salt if you're on a winning team. Because you can have the best pass rusher in the league, and what's other than having the best pass rusher in the league, being able to say that, that's all you can say. Look in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Look in Cleveland. What's Myles Garrett done as far as contributing to winning a Super Bowl? He's done the best he can, right? But how many games they win this year? When he just broke the sack record?
Yep. But they won
So
4 games.
So they picking in the top 5 again.
Yep.
So unless you are that guy away from winning the Super Bowl, then he's not worth paying top dollar for, especially in his 30s. So if you ain't one of the 5 teams, maybe 6 teams that think they can win the Super Bowl this year, honestly, in the building, really think they can win the Super Bowl, then he ain't in the conversation.
So the interesting thing about Max Crosby, and you highlighted, Reggie White, is that what is it going to take to trade for him? Because when Green Bay got Reggie, that was a free agency move, so you didn't have to change your team up. And like you said, when you're a pass rusher away, you have everything else, and you just need to add that piece. All right, it makes sense. On the flip side, you look at Green Bay last year; they had to trade away pieces to get Micah Parsons. It doesn't work out, and now they're sitting here in this draft that's heavy on defensive linemen. They've already traded their pick. They could have addressed another issue on their team that they can't even do now.
Yep.
So that's the problem. If you're going to trade for Max Crosby, like I said, not only do you have to feel like, all right, we can get him, you have to feel confident in the rest of your roster, knowing we're not only just relying on Max Crosby. It can't just be to me, I think if I'm going to give you a team, I'm going to say Buffalo, because Buffalo needs a pass rusher, right? Buffalo may feel they have all the pieces in place. And if Buffalo can just do draft capital to get him, then I think you do it.
That's a great, I like that. I like that call, actually.
The question with Buffalo is, do they have enough on their offense to win it all? Because they still don't have a number 1 receiver there.
No.
So do you feel like you have enough on offense to match what he will give you on defense? Outside of that, I mean, who's really going to make the move? Because again, like you said, you got to be a team that's close enough to winning it all. He's not going to Denver because there's no way that the Raiders would trade him within the division. So he's not going to Denver. I mean, if you look across, he's not going to the Rams. I don't think he would go to the Seahawks. I don't think that's a move that could be made because the Seahawks have other financial obligations. Like I said, Rashid Shaheed needs his new contract. Kenneth Walker needs his new contract. To get Max Crosby on paper sounds great, because if you could put Max Crosby with DeMarcus Lawrence and that defense that we just saw how great that defense was, on paper it looks great, but then you would be sacrificing so much of your offense to make it work that you might not even be the same team again next year.
I think if he goes anywhere, it's to the NFC. And the only really, because I haven't really thought about that a ton, but I can see him landing somewhere like Philly or Tampa.
Now, Tampa makes a lot of sense. If I'm telling you right now, if Philly makes the call and I'm the Raiders, I'm not doing the trade unless Jalen Carter's in the trade.
But what if AJ Brown's in it?
Nah, not enough. Not enough.
No
disrespect. No disrespect to AJ Brown. But if
you about to draft a rookie quarterback at 1.
Cool. But I was gonna say that's exactly why I don't want AJ Brown. I don't need a receiver who's coming in and looking to dominate the offense, right? I got the young running back, I got the young tight end. Now I'm about to have the young quarterback. What I need is young guys who are on the same timeline. And what I need is that nastiness on the other side of the field. I need that Jalen Carter type guy on my defense. AJ Brown is a luxury to have. And honestly, if you're the Raiders, because this draft is so deep, you could get your receiver in the second round. You could get a veteran receiver to come in and help the development of your quarterback. But I need Jalen Carter. If I'm going to change the perception of my team and my defense, I need that. I need that all-pro lineman like a Jalen Carter who can change things. I'm not doing the trade for less than Jalen Carter because the picks from Philly aren't even that intriguing. You're talking about picks that pick is going to be in the 20s.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you what could be the best defensive end in football right now. It's between him and Myles Garrett, right? Him and Myles Garrett's probably 1 and 2. Whatever.
Myles Garrett's 1.
All right,
Myles Garrett.
Right, Myles Garrett's 1, Crosby's 2. Do you want the 21st pick, the 22nd pick for the second best defensive lineman, second best defensive end in the league? Nah, I need something a little better.
If the second best defensive lineman is 27, I do want him. But he ain't 27.
Right.
He's 37.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a factor.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
But I think if like I said, if Philly's making a call for him, I want to see if I can get Jalen Carter over.
I hear that.
That's what I want. Tampa is interesting. I like the idea of Tampa because they need that. They need that piece. They also are in a very unique situation because they're older. No matter what they do with Mike Evans, the roster is older. They got to figure some things out. Are they going to go all in to try to win with this roster, or
they got to? You got to.
That's what I'm saying. You have to. You're in no man's land at this point. You're good enough to be a playoff team, but you're not good enough to win it all unless you get a difference maker like a Max Crosby.
And we all agree Evans is going to be back in Tampa, right? I don't see him packing his bag.
I think he goes back. Now, the one team that, I mean, we talk about a pass rusher away. Why not the Bears?
For Crosby?
Yeah. Why not the Bears?
On the opposite side of Sweat?
Yep.
Okay.
Because
that'd be nasty.
If you're the Bears, this is the time to be aggressive. You got Caleb still on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
So be super aggressive.
You know what? Washington might be in play too. That's why I'm talking about these teams with the rookie quarterbacks.
Right. That's why
Washington might be in play for him.
I agree.
Because and that culture, I don't care if it's new ownership or not. DC still wants to make splashes.
If I'm gonna tell you right
especially
now,
the older players, they still do that. They still do that.
I'm not a fan of the Commanders roster, but I'm gonna say that if the Commanders can find a way to make the deal without giving up this year's first round pick, you make that deal. Because if the Commanders are able to get Sonny Styles and then still trade for Max Crosby, that's a defense that immediately now is probably a top 10, top 12 defense. Just with
they got to get better on that side of the ball more so than the offensive side because the defensive side, they are ancient. There's a lot of old. The guys that make plays for them are like way past their prime, and the guys that they need to make plays are young and don't. So they need to. That's the side of the ball that they need to really improve on.
The best player on their defense last year was Bobby Wagner.
Right, he's my age.
So I just, if you can get, because I'm a firm believer, Sonny Styles, who everybody's going crazy about, and rightfully so, he was already projected to be a top 10 pick before he did all the things he did at the combine. He is not going past the Commanders at 7. If he's on the board, the Commanders are drafting Sonny Styles. And if you can get Sonny Styles and then add the elite pass rusher, Max Crosby, this defense immediately jumps up into the top half of the league. And like I said, a top 12, top 10 defense just with those two things. Yes, your secondary still got to get better. Yes, you're probably still going to have to scheme up how you're going to free up the other pass rusher. But the foundational pieces are there. You would have the best linebacker in this draft class, and now you've added the second best defensive end in football. That defense would immediately become a top 12 defense.
For sure.
So I think that the Commanders make a lot of sense. You're right about that. Let's get to some of these NBA questions, and then we're going to wrap up for the night. As always, guys, make sure you are subscribed. to the podcast. We're live every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Shoot us a like, shoot us a comment. I want to start integrating a new segment. I'm gonna start telling people, man, not only send in your questions. If you want to send in your questions with a video attached to it, send that in because we can start playing that on the show as well. We want to get far more interactive with our viewers. Let's get to Ron. This story is funny, but at the same time, it speaks to where we're at in terms of the coverage of sports media. Ron says Zion Williamson finally proving his haters wrong? ? Did y'all think Stephen A. Smith was out of line going in on Zion, even saying someone told him Zion hides his food under the bed? Did you hear about the story, Will?
I actually just saw that today. The whole hiding the food under the beds. I saw the whole Stephen A. clip when he said certain guys in the league are addicted to drugs, addicted to alcohol, but Zion was addicted to food. And one of his addictions was not sneaking drugs or sneaking drinks, but he was hiding food under his bed. He said he was told that. He didn't say he saw it or whatever. Right. But he said he was told that. And I got two things about that. I believe it. I mean, we saw what Zion was looking like. You know what I'm saying? I believe it. Unless he got a thyroid issue or something that we don't know about, that man was definitely eating snacks after 10 p.m. I know what that's like. You know what I'm saying? I'm roller coaster. I know he ain't been making the best choices. If it's not health related, he ain't been making the best choices. But at the same time, my credibility level that I trust for Stephen A. Smith over the last, I say, 16 to 18 months has gone way down. I don't trust the thing that comes out of his mouth anymore. And I used to be a Stephen A. guy. I used to come on this show when we first used to get on here. I said, I don't agree with everything he says, but Stephen A.'s him. He's doing his job now.
Right, he's locked in.
Yeah, but I don't trust him no more. I don't even trust what I used to trust from Stephen A. no more. But it could be true. But he has become more the character that everybody was saying he always was. Now he's leaning more heavy on that side of the whole gotcha media and headline media and clickbait type media, which I don't really rock with. Could it be true? Maybe. I mean, like I said, we saw Zion out there heavy. You know what I mean? That wasn't from not hiding snacks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right. You got the best traders in the world working with you. That wasn't from not hiding snacks. You probably was, but was Stephen A. out of pocket for saying it if it was true? No. Say whatever. I mean, if you're willing to stand behind what you say, and if somebody step to you if they try to check you on what you said, I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? Say what you say. Say what you say. But is it out of pocket? Nah. We saw him out here. We saw him underperforming. We saw him fat. We saw him missing games for no reason. We saw it. So I ain't mad at him.
I'm gonna say this is why I don't think Stephen A. is out of line, and I agree with you. I don't agree with everything Stephen A. says, and Stephen A. it's a lot of clown shit from Stephen A. Smith. Let's call it what it is. But this is why I agree with Stephen A. There were three things really. First, let's not forget there was a report that came out a couple years ago that Zion was trying to force his way out of the Pelicans when he wouldn't come back, he wouldn't return from injuries, and there was rumors that he was kind of basically dragging out injuries, hoping that the Pelicans would get fed up with him and start entertaining trade offers for him. So that's first. Secondly, the way the Pelicans responded to Stephen A. Smith let me know that they were hurt that Stephen A. let it out that he was being fed that information, because instead of them coming out and saying that's bullshit, that's a lie, and no one ever told Stephen A. Smith that, they tried to make a joke of it and they posted old videos of Stephen A. Smith like boxing is like, hey, stick to solitaire, you're not the greatest athlete. Like, one has nothing to do with the other. If I'm saying y'all fed me information and y'all told me things about this player and you didn't come out and deny it, then I gotta assume that there was truth there. Right. Why wouldn't the Pelicans just outright come out and say, no, that never happened, nobody ever gave him information, and that's a bullshit lie. They didn't come out and say that. They try to make a joke of it to deflect from the fact that they know they got caught now in a situation that's unflattering to the team. And then 3, like you mentioned, we're not going to pretend like we ain't see Zion for the last couple of years struggle with his weight and his fitness. We saw it firsthand. So we're going to pretend that there can't be any truth to what Stephen A. Smith is saying when we clearly saw a player who was struggling to stay in game shape. We saw it firsthand. There were plenty of people on the internet made jokes about Zion's eating habits, about what restaurants he would frequent, about what he was doing in his off time. So let's not act like because Stephen A. Smith said it now that he out of line for saying it. So when we all joke about it on social media, we wrong about it. But when Stephen A. points out that somebody was telling him this, he's out of line. I don't think he's out of line. He didn't name drop anybody. He didn't say such and such in the organization. He just said, I was told by multiple people what was going on, that Zion was eating and breaking his diets and breaking the nutrition plans that the organization set for him, that he was going as far as to hide food so that the organization didn't know he was breaking the nutrition plan. So I don't think Stephen A. was out of line in anything he said. Kyrie said, but y'all remember Stephen A. probably heard it from the IG model he was dealing with. Remember, she said the same thing about him hiding food. Yeah, there was a chick who said that about Zion Williamson, but do I think that's where Stephen A. heard it from? Stephen A.'s locked in. No matter how y'all feel about Stephen A., we're not going to pretend that Stephen A. don't have connections throughout the NBA world. There's people that are more than willing to let Stephen A. know what's going on and stay on Stephen A.'s good side for the just to
be on his good side. Yeah.
Right, just to have that relationship with Stephen A. Smith. So there's plenty of people feeding Stephen A. Smith information and intel. I don't think anything Stephen A. Smith said was wrong. He didn't disrespect Zion. He didn't call him out his name. He didn't say anything that other people have not speculated on. And I think if anything, what Stephen A. was really doing was pointing out the flaws in the organization, not Zion. He was pointing out the fact that there's people in that organization that were trying to sabotage Zion by leaking that information. He was trying to point out that there's people in that organization that did not have Zion's back, because why would you tell me as a reporter that, hey, this guy's been hiding food under the bed? Why would you do that?
Yeah, like you ain't got nothing to gain from that if you Stephen A. win the position you're in. Like, that's not even like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not even a story that's going to, if you Stephen A., that's not like this story is going to put me over the top. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even need to mess with that right now.
Right, and I'm glad you said that, because that what you're saying now leads to this is the answer to Kyrie's question, because Kyrie said, Will, why do you just laugh? This is kind of funny, but it's like, why do we care? It is in a way, why do we care? And yeah,
I mean, for real.
And to Will's point, this is why I don't think that this is not one of those stories that Stephen A. needs to stay relevant. Stephen A. don't need a Zion Williamson story to stay relevant.
Nah. Like Zion, for real, like
this is the most.
Zion about 3-4 years out of being relevant at all. Like when he was coming in the league, I ain't gonna lie, I was all on the Zion train as like, you know, who's this dude coming into the league? But what he's shown us is a lack of effort, a lack of dedication, and some simping. Also, let's not forget all this social media simping he be out here doing.
Well, Kyrie said, isn't it crazy? Maybe 3-4 years ago, who would have thought Ja and Zion aren't the face of the league? Like we thought players had passed them by. So that's another great point. 3 years ago, we thought that Ja and Zion were on the trajectory to be the next face of the league. Right? We thought that they were going to be the future of the league, and it hasn't gone that way. Obviously, Ja's issues are different from what's going on with Zion, and maybe Zion just needs to change the scenery. Because let's not pretend that the Pelicans are the best organization in the league. They're not a well-run organization. This is the same organization that at one point had Chris Paul and couldn't make it work. They had Anthony Davis and couldn't make it work. So they've had other star players and didn't make it work. Maybe Zion just needs to get out of there, and maybe if he gets around a team that's a little bit more veteran-laden and some guys that can help him with the nutrition and the physical game plan to stay in shape, maybe it's a different situation for him. But again, I agree with you, Will, and I'll say no matter how you feel about Stephen A., you got to look at it from the standpoint of what does this do for Stephen A.'s career? It does absolutely nothing. This ain't generating more clicks and more money for Stephen A. Smith to talk about Zion. Nobody's talking about Zion.
And that's the thing. It ain't nothing to talk about Zion now.
Yeah.
Zion coming in the league, and what we saw with him making Nikes explode and all that. All you
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean? Going out his sneakers. He was supposed to be like an elevated Charles Barkley,
Right.
and he can't hold Charles Barkley's jock strap to say old man phrase, man. He ain't even in the room with Charles Barkley.
Right.
It's crazy. And you're right. When him and Zion were coming in, we were like, okay. But all it was, and all that generation, this is my get off my lawn moment. Is all flash, no substance. It's nothing behind it. Pause. It's all surface. You know what I mean? And no, it's nothing. It's nothing deep to their games at all. It's nothing deep to how they got here,
No.
why they should be here. And that's not a slight to the guys in the league that are carrying the torch now. But it's been a lot of letdowns. And it's not just those two. It's been a lot of guys that we thought we're going to, keep the league going as to what we're used to seeing as quality NBA basketball. Now we relying on freak shows, and I'm not, no disrespect to Wemby, but now we're relying on 7'9" dudes with guard handles to carry the league. And you know what I mean? Where's the 6'1" point guard that's dominating? You know what I'm saying?
The point guard position is obsolete. I mean, Wemby's a one
I
of
mean,
one.
yeah, I'm just saying the way we watch the game, the way we respect the game, and the way we consume the game as a product in the whole it's so crazy. Zion and Ja were built for the product that they're putting out right now, and they couldn't even handle it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's nuts.
Two-part question from Squeeze. He said, but to be fair, Zion has had a good overall season and playing games, right? So I'm wondering how Stephen A gets to talking about him of late. And isn't Joe Dumars the GM now? Joe may make some good moves. I want to start there. First of all, Joe Dumars is not, I don't consider Joe Dumars a good general manager. There's a track record of him making some very questionable moves dating back to Detroit. He gets credit for the Ben Wallace trade that ultimately led to them being able to win a championship, Ben Wallace and Chauncey Billups. But let's not forget the summers that he was overpaying Ben Gordon and Charlie Villanueva. Let's not forget he's also the guy who drafted Darko Milicic instead of
Over Carmelo. Yes.
So let's not forget Joe. And since he's been in New Orleans, if we're going to give him credit for drafting Derek Queen, who's a good player, let's also not forget that he traded away their first round pick this year that Atlanta holds. That's going to be another lottery pick.
Yep.
So Joe Dumars does not have, I think, the best track record, especially over the last 10, 15, 20 years. After his moves early on with Detroit that put them in position to be a championship team, pretty much from the Darko move on, there have been some very questionable trades, very questionable moves by him.
Dumars is where now?
He's with New Orleans.
He didn't even draft Queen. Atlanta did.
But I'm saying he was part of this front.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like.
So so now in terms of Zion, like I said, I don't view, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't view this as Stephen A trying to shit on Zion. That's not,
I didn't read it like that. It was just like, I felt like it was more like, well, this is what I know about Zion, and
I took it as him shitting on the organization.
Yeah.
Because he's saying there are people within that building who fed me information about your star player. He said it that way. He didn't say, Zion's out of shape and Zion doesn't deserve the credit he's getting. He said the organization has done everything to sabotage this young man. The organization was feeding the media like myself information about this guy so that we could come on here and talk bad about him. He said, that's what he said. So I don't view it as him saying Zion has been playing poorly or Zion's the problem. The organization is the problem. That's the way I looked at it. But
truly, yeah.
Will, give me a final thought before we wrap up the night.
Oh man, we done. Final thought. Trying to keep it sports. Uh, really, it ain't nothing rocking in sports right now, though.
It's a
You know
full
what I'm
week.
saying? I'm just shout out to Jasmine Crockett. You ran a good race, sister. You almost had them in Texas. I thought you was gonna pull it out. Shout out to you though. You did. Um, Vote, people. Keep it local. I said it's the same thing as last week. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much heavy things. It's not enough going on in sports, and it's too much going on the other side. Where I can't. I'd be remiss to not at least mention. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? Vote local. I'm gonna keep saying that. Vote local. That's why a lot of people are saying. Well, a lot of people are saying that she got robbed, and some changes at the end of the deadline for the votes and all of that. But I guarantee you, no matter how you slice it, it was people that didn't show up to them ballots too. It's people that think it's cool not to vote. It's cool to talk on social media about points, but not cool to go get in line and actually make your voice be heard outside your social pages. So if you're gonna talk about it, be about it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Talk about it, be about it. Get in them lines, man. You stand if you stand in line for Jordans, if you can stand in line for them trash ass gray Jordans that came on last week, if you stand in line for them, you can stand in line for your representative who's gonna make a change.
I don't know if anybody's really standing in line anymore. Well, I think that
I'm just saying, hey, I seen it. It's I mean, people you can order online, but you can enter them raffles or whatever they be doing for sneakers now. But I still seen people standing in line for J's last week for them trash ass gray Jordans.
I ain't seen lines for sneakers in quite some time, but I mean, maybe I'm out the loop.
I'll forward it to you. I'll forward it to you.
Like I said, maybe I'm out the loop because I just ordered my shits online.
And I don't be buying them joints everybody and their mother be wearing anyway, like them releases.
I rock what I rock. Right. I don't care what nobody else rock, but it's in terms of that, like I said, I don't.
But to the youth, if you can get in line, if you can make these extra measures to get these everybody in their mother wearing shoes, to get in line and make changes for us in our future.
I work 50 to 60 hours a week. I don't care about no lines for no Jordans, man. I'll pay a little extra just to order them and have them shipped to the crib. Squeeze's last comment said, was Dumars over the Pistons when they traded Iverson for Billups? I remember when that happened. I was hyped about Iverson. Yes, he was the one who traded Chauncey to Denver for Allen Iverson. That, again, another one of those moves that, looking back on it, it just didn't make sense. You traded a traditional point guard for a guy who's a score first point guard, and Iverson was not prime Allen Iverson at that point either. I'll also say this in terms of Jasmine Crockett. Unfortunately, we know why the vote didn't go her way. When you're an outspoken Black woman in this country, they're not
comfortable with that.
Yeah, they're not comfortable with that. Also, I've seen a lot of clips of this guy, James Tellerico. I'm gonna tell you right now, Will, we could bookmark it. Promise you'll mark my words. This kid is.
Think he gonna flip?
No. This kid is being promoted as the next JFK.
Listen, and you can go on my socials. I like him.
I do too.
And like you said, and every politician says the right things, right?
Right.
But I really feel like, because I'm old enough I've seen more back to the bushes, I feel like what he says he believes, and like I really believe what he says. And the thing outside of the last minute deadline extension for the votes in Texas, where I think Crockett lost there was a clip that I saw about a week ago when Obama came out talking about Tallarico, and he wasn't endorsing him by any means, but it was a casual conversation with whoever was interviewing him. If I find a clip, I'll send it to you. But it was like just a casual conversation about what's going on and who's running, and Obama spoke very highly of him, like he's a great guy, like he basically endorsed him in this clip. He basically endorsed him, And when that happened, I was like, oh, it's a wrap for Jasmine. Not that he ever spoke against her, but that when I saw that one clip, I was like, uh-oh. Because she was up for a long time.
Yeah.
But when I saw that clip, I was like, and like I said, I don't live in Texas. I know Texas is a state that their representatives carry large weight in what we do nationally. I thought either one of them would have been great, but I'm not mad at him winning. But of course, it's going to be questions about that deadline extension. But when Obama basically endorsed him, I knew it was a wrap.
I think, like I said, for Jasmine Crockett, I knew it was going to be tough because the perception of who she is through clips and social media was going to affect how people voted.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, because most people aren't going to take the time to get to know her as a candidate. They're just going to run off of what I've seen on social media, the clickbait part of it.
And if you're not used to us,
right?
If you're not used to us and how we communicate and how we get down and how we are as a people, if you haven't spent enough time around us, around our dinner tables, you ain't never broke bread with us. You never been around us in any kind of intimate situation. You don't understand. And she's not speaking from an abrasive point. She's speaking from love. But that's how we love. We love hard.
Yeah.
So when you outside our community and you see that and you're not used to that, you immediately are threatened by it.
Yep.
Because you're uncomfortable by it.
Yep.
And I think that more so was what didn't work out for her. And we talking about Texas, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let's not pretend we talking about Texas. So Texas running against a very formidable white male, and half the voters are not comfortable with us just on a day-to-day. Like I said, like you can't even sit across, have a cup of coffee across from her in a regular conversation and not feel some kind of way. Then it's the math in this vote. The math, and when it does, sometimes we just gotta do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just gotta get them next time.
Yeah, but like I said, I do think this young man is going to be promoted as the next JFK. You could just see, the endorsements, the way they visually trying to represent him. I think that's the direction they're trying to go, and he won't be ready for 2028. But 2032, if we still have elections in 2032,
right,
he will be the Democratic nominee for president, I think.
Yeah, and the only person that I think will be up to challenge him for that Democratic seat will be in the state that you live in right now. Is Westmore got to go get that?
Yeah,
Westmore got to go get that. And he has his own reasons for not running for 2028. But bro, you got to go get that. You next.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. But as always, shout out to the comment section. Shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you guys next week, 7:30 p.m. And don't forget Mondays, Real Fans, Real Talk, 7 p.m. Trip Young and myself will be back. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. We're live again on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. For my brother.
This week is Miss
Valerie Steele is
Miss Steele 5 coming back this week, right?
Yeah. Valerie Steele.
Miss Steele 5. I said, hey, man.
I'm gonna let her know. Make sure you say that in the comment section too.
Absolutely.
But for my brother Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. We are the opinionated ones as part of the Sanchez Show. We'll see you guys next week, man. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys.